Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting for Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Before we go any further, I'm just going to say what we're not going to be hearing tonight. We will not be having a discussion with Mr. Junior on 605 Plymouth Avenue. He's asked to postpone. We will not be discussing Dyke Road under old business. And 0 Main Street is continued, as is the Town of Marshfield DPW drainage swales, and Sweeney off marginal. None of those things will be heard tonight. So if anybody is here for that, you can go home. First up, we have the minutes from September 18th. Did you have any edits or changes, Mike?
I did not receive any edits.
Anybody have anything to say? Okay, then I move that we approve the September 18th, 2024 minutes as written. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, first up is Mounce's Meadow, the Eagle Scout project. And do we have a presenter here for this tonight? I think I see him on Zoom. Mr. Beauchamps, do you want to explain your project for us?
Is he on mute? Maybe? No.
Hey Nathan, I can see you're on. There might be some issue with your microphone.
We can't hear you. You don't seem to be muted, but we don't have anything coming through from you.
It's not on our end, right?
I don't think so.
We can come back to this. Nathaniel, it is possible to call into the Zoom link, or you could try to access it via a smartphone or some other electronic device, and then connect to the audio that way. That might be
No.
easier.
Yeah. That shouldn't have been on there, and it wasn't posted. Yeah, I know, I just had to figure that out. Okay, I'm gonna go on to business item 3 while we try to address the technical difficulty there. Jeff Wilson and Ned Bangs for the Furnace Brook Trails discussion.
Go ahead.
Hi, so there is a, we talking about all the bridges or just the two?
The two.
The two. So there's 2 bridges, old bridges that need replacing. I walked with Mike probably a couple weeks ago on a Friday, and this need replacing, same size as what's there. One of them was thin, it might be a 3-foot bridge as far as width, but they both need to be replaced. Mike's got pictures of that one right there, and if you step on the second board over from the left, it goes down like 6 inches. And it's also blocking the way it is. It looks like there was an older bridge under it, and then someone put something on top.
Yeah.
And it's actually blocking the water, so the water's this high on this side, and it's barely trickling through. So we would just build the same size bridge, but it would be up higher so the water can flow like it's supposed to. And
Lock.
the other bridge is by School Street. It's a smaller, narrower bridge right here, and that would get replaced. Same length, the width would be, that's probably 1.5 feet. It would be double that, so it'd be a 3-foot wide bridge. There would be no other, no modification to anything other than that.
And this will be done by the
RTC.
Yep, and your volunteer crew, and
Yeah, yeah.
obviously, these need to be
Yeah.
addressed. They look dangerous. Do you have any comments, Mike?
Yeah, like replacement, almost like a 1-for-1 here. The one over by School Street entrance here, as you can see, that one needs to be replaced. It would be a little bit wider. The one up here crossing that small body of water does act like a dam, actually. It is completely jammed up. It would be beneficial to get a like replacement in here as well.
Okay. Anybody have anything to ask or add, or? It seems pretty straightforward to me.
Could say.
Sure. Go
I could say one thing on Ned Bangs, on the Trails Committee. So the bridges that we're looking at would be similar in design and scope that the Building Department has approved. So one that number built by St. Christine's, that's there, and another one that was an Eagle Scout project in the Pratt Farm. So it would follow a standard design that's been accepted by both Mike and Andrew.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I move to approve the replacement of the two boardwalks on the Furnace Brook Trails as a de minimis activity. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Do we want to try Nathan again? Nathaniel?
He's muted now.
Nathan, can you access the Zoom audio?
Not yet.
I can't hear anything,
Mike,
unfortunately.
you may want to pass on to him, just make sure he's got the latest version of Zoom. I was having some issues with a Zoom call a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
You know, I did an
Yeah, they
update.
do updates.
Yeah, Nathan, in case you didn't hear that, it may be beneficial to have the most recent version of Zoom that you're trying to access it through. That, or you could potentially try a different device or one that you know that Zoom works on.
Okay, we'll hold that for another try. Business item 4 is 35 Texas Street. And is there someone here to discuss this or present this? Mr. Priest?
Is Mr. Priest on the call here? So I met the homeowner at 35 Texas Street, Mr. Priest, a few weeks ago. He expressed desire to cut a few white pines behind his house. As you can see, a couple of them have fallen in the woods behind his house, and he's concerned that these ones will follow suit. There is a smaller diameter white pine that is leaning heavily towards the structures on the property. And then there's also this larger white pine. It appears to be healthy and in good condition. He does have a concern that it could fall, since the other white pines have fallen in this area and could open it up to wind and other issues that would cause them to fall on his property.
Any discussion of who would pay for this?
He indicated that he would be okay with paying for it if it came down to it. But as they're not immediately dangerous or threatening, they're both live trees. This one just has a heavy lean to it towards the structures on the property. I indicated that that could be something that he could pay out of pocket for, and he seemed open to the idea.
If that fell, would it hit a structure?
Yes, that one behind would likely hit the garage or definitely a fence behind there. There's a garage behind there as well as where he parks a vehicle. It looked like it could have been out of range of falling on the single-family home, but I wouldn't rule it out entirely.
Any Any comments from anyone? I would say that if Mr. Priest is willing to pay for work to be done, that I don't have a problem with that. The larger one that's in the foreground there, is that otherwise healthy or?
Yeah, it looks otherwise healthy. I didn't see immediate risk from the tree at this point.
Maybe if Mr. Priest is willing to do this work, he could get a report from an arborist
Right.
and just so we get a take on it from someone who is a professional.
Perfect. For both of the trees?
Yeah,
Understood.
okay. So if you can communicate that to him, and then we'll
Yes,
see what the
I
arborist
will.
says and
Yeah.
make a determination. Okay. 84 Bay Ave.
Do you want to vote on the tree line?
There seems to be an
thought-
issue with our audio.
Okay,
So
is
I-
it, all right.
Oh,
Apparently people at home.
Can't hear either. I was gonna just
Oh, I see.
sort of table that
Yeah.
until we come back with
Yeah.
something concrete.
Makes
and-
sense.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Do we have no audio on Zoom?
At Zoom, it will be recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all being
okay.
recorded, right, but there's nothing on Zoom.
But nobody can hear it, okay.
Yeah, that's why people have been leaving the meeting, I think.
Thank you.
Sorry for the-
Nope, that's okay. I didn't say it when we started the meeting, so I'll say it now. In the event of a technology problem, the meeting continues in this room where it will be recorded and you can view it later. Unfortunately, no one out there can hear me, but. All right, I'm sorry. Mr. and Mrs. St. Ars?
My name is Fred St. Hours. This is Mary Ellen. We live at 84 Bay Avenue. We took our house down in roughly 2018 and rebuilt it on pilings as a brand-new house. And apparently, we let the time go by before we did the work underneath it. We had permission to do a certain amount of concrete work, paving, park cars, catch the waves that come over the seawall. And we thought we'd like to live there a while and get some experience with the new house. And I just didn't realize that we had a 3-year window to do the work. So we just did the work this summer. And Mike called me and said we didn't have a permit, and I felt that we did, but we don't. So, what we've done is actually less than we were permitted to do. The previous house had about 2,400 square feet of impervious. We requested the new house at 1865, which is a reduction. And then we come up with a plan that we thought was a better plan to reduce that even further instead of using a concrete pad to catch the waves coming over the seawall or the oversplash, we use large boulders, large boulders. So we put those in, and it's a totally pervious system. There is crushed rock underneath the boulders, and the boulders don't really fit like bricks do. There's large spaces between them. And we put crushed rock, but sizable, like 4-inch to 6-inch in between. And it works really good. It's only been there a few months, but we had a storm a couple of 3 weeks ago that was kind of unrelenting, and it just took it really well. So we saved on our square feet of impervious by not using concrete there. And actually, you know, we only have about 6.5 feet coming from the seawall, and depending on how we get through the winter, I'd like to add a little more. All right, so in the front, you know, we had, in our original design was to have from the street to the front of the house as totally concrete. Then we decided instead of that, we'd use cobblestone with a pervious system where the cobblestone has an underlayment of gravel, and, you know, it's got an inch or more spaces in between with crushed, with chip rock in there. So we reduced the whole amount of impervious by quite a bit. And then we did use the concrete as 2 10-foot driving lanes underneath the house. And we made those a little longer by a few feet than our original plan. So we did change the original plan. I'm just telling you what we did, thinking that it really wasn't going to be a problem because we're doing less than we were allowed to, and not realizing that our permission had expired. So here we are.
Yeah, so, yeah, you were issued a certificate of compliance in 2021. So technically, when you went back and did this, the permit was closed. So you didn't, it was a timing
Right.
problem. Now, I think, was this on your original plan?
Our original plan had the 1,865 square feet of impermeable,
Yeah,
which was like concrete from the seawall out several feet to catch the over splashing waves and the
right.
whatever.
Splash over, yeah.
And then in front, concrete to park.
So,
So-
so Mike,
Yes.
when you looked at the as-built, were those slabs on there?
The slabs were not on the as-built.
They were not on the
As you
as-built.
can see
Right, 'cause
from
they
the
haven't done it
as-built
yet, okay.
here, this is with, this is when you're on Bay Ave, this is the street here. This would be the area where there's currently the paver area and then the hardscape that goes underneath the home here, neither which is reflected on the plan. There is a portion of hardscape, a concrete pad to support the stairs over by the seawall that's captured in the as-built, but that is really the only impervious hardscape noted on that site plan.
In the as-built, yeah, it shows sand there, where our original plan that we were
Right.
approved for has, a lot of that is concrete.
Okay.
So I guess when we got, I just didn't get everything rubber stamped to follow through.
So the slabs that you poured this summer, so here's what the building commissioner has to say. Property is located in the R3 zoning district in Velocity Zone 17 and Special Flood Hazard Area, Barrier Beach Coastal Wetlands. There are no specific prohibitions on slabs in flood zones under the National Flood Insurance Program. However, post-disaster assessments conducted by FEMA have concluded that unreinforced slabs with no wire mesh or rebar less than 4 inches thick tend to break up into small pieces without causing any adverse effects. Reinforced concrete slabs and thicker than 4 inches tend not to break up, can become dislodged and act as obstructions, and can transfer unanticipated loads to building foundations. So are your slabs reinforced?
No, they're fiberglass filled, but
Okay.
no
Do you
bar.
know how thick they are?
They're, I believe, 6 inches thick so they're 10 foot wide, and at the end, the east end, facing the ocean, they're 1 foot thick. So if the water comes and then there's sand. We've got some stone or some of that, but, so if the sand washes away, we've got hopefully a way to protect it from being undermined and broken up.
Right.
Mike, have you got the original plan?
That we're looking at right now.
No, this is the as-built, right?
I have it.
Bill, I'm not sure if I have the original plan.
I believe I have a copy.
Try to pull it up, unless Mr. St. Hours has one.
Actually, I can't see very well, but
Oh, right, you still,
if you can all tell whether it's got the,
got the, what it has on it?
So what is yellow is what we will approve to pave.
yeah, because I recall this vaguely. And
Yeah.
There was quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the plan that I was looking at earlier.
Okay, so that's paved.
And honestly, what they should have done is just extended their conditions.
Yeah, that would
You
have
know,
captured it, but, can we, I guess we can't retroactively extend
It's already been.
conditions.
No, there's been a certificate of compliance.
Right.
Compliance has
Property.
been issued.
And it's been it was a complete condition, excuse me, it was a complete certificate of compliance, and a partial could allow you to do something like that, but it was a complete issuance.
Right. And the flood regulations do not specifically prohibit
No,
this.
So most of that yellow underneath, abutting the seawall is not there. So we have boulders there. We dug a trench and we were lucky enough to get somebody that could place these boulders so that with kind of flattish surfaces up, and you can even walk across them. You can't roller skate over them, but I think they're gonna hold up really well, and they're totally pervious, and if they work, I'd like to do a little bit more of that. I don't know if I need to come with you guys with a plan of what we wanna do. You can tell me that.
Yeah, you would need to come back to us if you were gonna add, anything to a revetment or whatever is there behind the seawall.
But we did that instead of the concrete, and I thought that was superior. And we
It
can't-
probably is. But, yeah, you.
But I didn't have permission to do it, I get it.
Well, you had bad timing. You did everything you should have done, and you got your COC before you poured the concrete. So what is the best way to capture this now?
they could do an after-the-fact permit, whether it's the commission feels comfortable doing something like a RDA or a notice of intent for this work. This is in a barrier beach coastal dune environment. Typically, when projects are presented to the commission now, hardscape in that type of area wouldn't necessarily be approved,
Yeah.
which is kind of the catch-22 here.
Right.
The flood zone also changed.
Yeah, right, it's,
It's now a VE 18 and an AO 3. I know.
So for numbers, we had been approved for 1,865 square feet. And what we've got now is 1,293 square feet, which is significantly less. And that includes the seawall, because that's on my property and that counts against me as impervious. And it includes a foot of retaining wall it's part of a neighbor's house, but it's actually on my property, so that kind of counts against me
Okay.
too. So I've actually, and I've still only got about, 3/4 of the impervious that I was,
Yeah, so, I mean, I see two problems, you know, between the time you completed the project, except for this, you know, floodplains have changed. What was allowed when you came in 2017 or 18, we wouldn't allow now. So that's one problem. Have you spoken to the building commissioner?
no,
Because I'm also, it's not entirely clear to me from what I'm seeing whether that could be left or whether it just has to come out and be made pervious under the house, which I suspect may be the case.
You want to ask Andrew, because he's on, right?
Are you on, Andrew? And if you are, can you hear
I
us?
think he can hear you if it wasn't working. Oh, you did.
Can you hear us, Andrew? We can't hear you. We're talking about 84 Bay Ave and the slabs under the house. Okay.
I know, because it's almost like they're not reinforced, but they're also
But they're thick.
thicker.
Here he comes.
Oh, here he comes. Thank you for coming up.
Thanks,
We're
I just
trying
locked
to-
myself out of my office.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know how they were constructed. I gave you the notes. The notes that I gave you on slabs come from the ASCE 2414, which is the engineering document that basically formulates all of FEMA's guidance and the building codes as they go to as far as floodplain design and construction. So those are the allowed types of slabs and how they should be constructed in those types of flood zones. Obviously, I don't know how that slab was constructed, so.
Mr. St. Ars, would you tell him what you told us about what the slab consists of? And
yeah, it's not reinforced with any steel or anything like that. It's got fiberglass filler in it. And I believe it's 6 inches thick, 10 foot wide, you know, like a driveway going underneath the house.
Yep. So, I mean, that's I think in the comments I said in the V zone, it should not have reinforcement in it. It should be only 4 inches thick. So those are really the requirements. How it's conditioned, what level of permitting really ultimately comes down to you guys.
okay.
Yep.
I can dig down there tomorrow and see if maybe it is 4 inches thick. I'm not sure. I think it's 6.
It might very
We
well
just
be,
did
yeah.
it too, you know.
Which is more common for an actual driveway or, cement slab in any other area other than in a flood zone, So that that would be understandable why they would pour it that thick, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So the first site plan that we just looked at, the middle, this is all new. The concrete in the middle, well, I mean,
It was on the originals.
It was actually,
It-
correct me if I'm wrong, but it was there with the original house. It was removed in order to put in the piles for elevating, but then you went and put it back. And it was on the plan that you were gonna put it back.
Right.
Is that correct?
Well, the original house had a full cellar.
Yeah.
And, that's why it had a lot of square feet of impervious there. We had a foundation, we had a chimney, fireplace and everything, So,
okay. The first plan that we saw, I guess I misunderstood that. I thought that underneath the house was not on that, the concrete was not on that plan. Underneath, directly underneath. It was just in the front and then by
Yeah,
the
no,
seawall.
on that plan.
It was.
did show
Okay,
that.
all right.
It would be less than was there, but it showed two slabs.
Okay.
For parking.
And then the as-built, I'm just trying to remember.
Then the as-built was done before they had repoured the
Right,
concrete.
okay.
So that's what was there. Now we are faced with impervious surface under the house.
Under the house,
it-
yep.
Which was permitted under the orders originally.
Right.
But we couldn't do that now.
Yeah, I understand that, okay.
The rules have changed. I mean, I think ultimately, you're gonna have to take those slabs out and make it a pervious surface. Can anybody think of a way not to do that? Without,
Not based on what we've heard, that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, Solomon's wisdom here, but.
yeah. Well, regardless, you're going to have to file, I don't know, could you do something with an RDA here, or is it gonna have to be another NOI? I think,
It's the trouble, we've got no active file.
yeah, we're starting from square one.
Seems like an NOI.
Yeah, I mean,
Unfortunately.
unfortunately, for sure, but I think you're gonna have to file a notice of intent, remove the slabs, and put down pervious pavers or whatever would be suitable under there. I wish I could say something else, but
I don't recall the details, but haven't we occasionally done an abbreviated NOI?
Yes, there is an
Because-
abbreviated
because
NOI.
A lot of the necessary information is already there.
it's already,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, there is, good point, thank you,
And in the
Bert.
meantime, if we can look into this a little more, I really think it's very borderline.
Yeah, I agree, it's,
I know you've got your rules and you need to do what you have to do, but in reality, it's underneath the house. It's rainwater that you really want to recharge into the ground. The less, the less impervious that I have there, the more it gets washed out into the street when the
Right.
overtopping waves come, and it makes problems for the neighbors.
right, you're gonna have splash over from the seawall no matter what.
Yeah, and when I had done nothing there, I didn't intend to do nothing, I just thought we'd take our time and get some
Right.
experience with the house, because there aren't a lot of others like that. But when the town would remove, like in the winter, when there's a lot of northeast storms and you get a lot of debris in the
You get
road,
that, yeah,
they kind of plow it into my yard because I've just got sand there and everybody else has got, finished
yeah,
driveways and stuff, so I ended up actually having to remove material and get it carted away. I mean, I'm not trying to
yeah, no,
No,
I,
it's
too
not a
much,
good-
but it's,
I understand. Yeah, I don't want to make a determination tonight because I want to work on this a little more. One possibility may be, well, you're going to have to file for a permit regardless of whether you can leave the slabs or whether you have to change the
Sure.
slabs. So Mike, let's look at an abbreviated notice of intent
Okay.
and see if that would be appropriate. And let's try to wrap our heads around whether or not we can permit what's there or unfortunately make you take the slabs out.
I'll do what you guys say, obviously, I lean in one direction.
Yeah,
We-
of
we
course.
just- We just did the work, too.
Sure.
And
so-
the riprap, excuse me, sorry. Do you recall there was another house on Bay Ave? We went through a whole discussion about
Yes.
similar thing.
Similar
And I
situation.
think the riprap and, that was the answer there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think this bears closer inspection.
I do have a question. Is it
Sure.
considered coastal dune? The resource area?
It
It is in Barrier Beach Coastal Zone.
it's Barrier Beach Coastal Dune. They are right on a seawall.
Right.
Okay. That's just me. I'm just trying to
Yeah,
understand the situation.
yeah, we all are. Okay, so you're gonna have to file probably an abbreviated notice of intent.
Okay, could I, if I see Mike, could you
Yeah, you'll
help me
need to
with that
see Mike.
in the daytime sometime?
Yep.
But we need to look at this more carefully.
Yep.
To make the determination of what you do next,
Sure.
if anything. You know, if we can find a way to let you keep the slabs, you still have to file the abbreviated notice of intent to
Right.
capture the work that was done.
Yep.
So, yeah, we have some work to do on our end.
Okay, then I'll be in touch with you, Mike.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I wish I'd
No,
done that a
no.
lot sooner. We were just trying to get some experience
Don't
of
be
living
sorry.
there and,
You were doing everything right. Okay. Can anybody out there hear us now?
I think
Yeah, people on the Zoom call can hear now, or at least I can.
Okay, is this,
Perfect.
Mr. Boshan's?
It is.
Great, let's, go back to business item 1 then.
Perfect.
Can
I'll
you
pull that up.
put that up for us, Mike? Okay, go ahead and explain your project to us.
Alright, hello, my name's Nathan Bushins. I'm a Life Scout with Troop 101 Marshfield. I'm working on an Eagle Scout project, and, well, I need approval to build it. So, as you can see, my Eagle Scout project is bee hotels. And on the next slide, you can see that, the bee hotel, it's pretty much a birdhouse for bees. Provides housing and a safe place for them to lay their eggs. But in this case, instead of birds, it's bees. And you can see a little picture of a bee hotel. Then, next slide, please. It will show, yep, inside of a bee hotel, it's a series of tubes, and it helps encourage the bees to lay their eggs in a safe space. The tubes are usually biodegradable, and in my case, they will be. Made of bamboo and animal-safe materials that aren't going to harm the environment. Next slide, please. Here you see the blueprint. It'll look something like that. That's a blueprint for a birdhouse, but on the next slide you'll see the face of the birdhouse. It's missing, and it will instead be filled with all those little tubes. And that's where the bees will lay their eggs, and they'll live for the season. I believe the next slide is, yep, how do you mount the bee hotels? Instead of nailing them to the trees, I will just be attaching them with outdoor mounting straps and make sure that nothing's done, no harm's done to the tree, and they'll stay up there nice and secure. Now on the next slide, I think is a map of, no, not quite. So there are a couple benefits. They're minimally invasive. They don't take up much space. They're the size of a bee hotel or in a birdhouse. They're environmentally friendly. So they're composed of biodegradable materials like wood and bamboo. They're very helpful for pollination, especially in the garden, the Mountains Meadow Community Garden. The bees that live in these hotels are great pollinators. They're called singular bees, and they are 19 times better pollinators than the regular bees that you'll see around your garden. And they're very low maintenance. I mean, bee hotels are low maintenance to begin with, but considering that scouts will do all the maintenance for you, that means no one else has to do the work. So it's just the scouts. I think this next slide is the map. of where, on each red marker, you can see that is Mount Hispanic Community Garden. In each red marker will be a proposed big hotel location. If there are any issues with the locations, they can be changed. So the locations aren't really set in stone. On the next couple slides, you can see a close-up of each location. It's just to give you a better idea of what each spot looks like. So if you go through the next couple slides, you see Hotel 1 and just Now, Hotel 5 is a little bit different. As you can see, there's nothing really to hang the B Hotel on. But as you can see in the back, there is a post, and that's what I'm proposing to have done. With the help of experienced workers, I am proposing that I lay a post in the ground in this field of flowers. If you go on to the next slide, I will not be using concrete because after doing some research, concrete can damage the soil and damage the plants around it. So I'll be using gravel and just a standard size post. It won't be too high up off the ground. It won't be a hazard for falling over. And I just think that a bee hotel placed in that location specifically will really encourage the bees to move in and help pollinate the garden. And I do believe that's all I have. So on the
Okay,
next slide, I think it asks if there's any questions.
okay.
And,
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Looks good to me.
I don't know a lot about bees, but having this like close to the shed, is that gonna attract bees to, people gonna be more prone to be stung?
No, because these aren't honeybees. If you were near a honeybee hive with 40 to 60,000 bees in it, you would be disturbing them. These are native bees, and they are solitary and not aggressive. And they'll just be, they won't be living in these tubes. They use them for nesting and reproducing. Isn't that right?
yes, that is very well said. Yeah.
Yeah. So that should not
Yeah.
be any hazard to anybody working in the garden.
Well, I'm sure the people at the community garden, they want the pollinators.
Yeah.
But are they aware of this? Did you talk to I forget what the term is, but there's a manager up there of the community garden? Have you talked to
I
them?
did talk to somebody. I'm not sure exactly who they were. They were at the garden at the time. But with approval from the board, I think I just can go and talk to that person, whoever the manager or whatever. And I just thought I'd get this out of the way first.
Oh, that sounds good to me.
Yep, I don't have a problem with that. Anybody else have anything to say or ask or?
Sounds like a cool project.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, let's take a vote to approve the installation of bee hotels at the Mounces Meadow Community Garden as an Eagle Scout project done by Mr. Beauchamp. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
Oh, that is okay. Thank you.
Okay, 111 Avon Street. Is someone here to discuss? Come on up. Okay, so there have been alterations here that do not have any permits. Can you explain,
So when we
tell
bought,
us what happened here?
when we bought the house, it was completely trashed. I believe the person living in it before we bought it had a demolition company, and there were tires, paint cans, concrete, fences, all types of debris. You couldn't even walk on the ground. Fallen trees, and so we cleaned up and landscaped the yard. We added crushed stone and crushed shell on the driveways, and had no idea that we needed a permit to what we thought we were beautifying the property, because it was in such disarray. All our neighbors came out, our new neighbors that we had met, and they were like so happy because it had been like that for 19 years. So we thought we were doing the right thing, and so whatever we have to do.
Didn't realize, yeah.
Yeah.
What is the resource area, Mike?
This is within buffer zone to salt marsh, land subject to coast storm flowage, and I believe it's Barrier Beach coastal dune. I'd have to double check that.
So, you need to file an after-the-fact permit.
Do it with you, Mike.
Yep, we can
Yeah,
work
you
together on an after
Need
the
to,
fact.
to see Mike, and we can issue that permit. I don't know if there will need to be mitigation. Do you have any idea, Mike, on?
It doesn't seem like a, it seems from satellite imagery anyway, that just kind of nuisance, undesirable vegetation was cut from the property.
yeah.
Here you can see a dead tree disappears, as well as some thick underbrush. When we moved down here, where that dead tree was, there's a fire pit area now. The yard's cleaned up a bit. It seems like all of the work has been done within the same footprint that's historically been there, but it does seem like some structures were added, such as the deck, some fill from the driveway, and the side drive parking area as well.
So we need you to retroactively permit this. And we'll be also asking you to put conservation markers around the edges of the property, so that going forward, if you're no longer the owners, people understand that there is resource area, you're in a resource area, and you need to permit a lot of what has to happen there.
Okay.
So if you will meet with Mike, and we can get that permit filed and go from there. I don't think, it looks like, we're gonna have to ask you to replant and redo, but have you been on the site, Mike, or have?
I've been on the site. I don't have a site access authorization, so the
Okay.
limit of my site visit was hanging the notice of violation on the door. Via satellite imagery, it appears that all work was done behind the structure. There's like a small, looks like rock stone structure between the yard area and the salt marsh. So it appears that everything's been done within that
Yeah,
area.
that was there
Yeah.
before we
Yeah.
bought the house. It was like cinder, the stackable, not cinder blocks, but the stackable stones, the interlocking stones.
Right.
So there was a wall back on the far point where it sloped down. It's all covered now with the grass that comes in.
Yeah,
when-
rack.
When the marsh grass dies, it, and then the high tides bring it in.
Right,
And
yeah.
so that's all piled up back part of the yard and on the side.
Okay. Well, I think, we just need to, as I said, get this retroactively permitted. And so if you can come in and talk to Mike or Liz, our agent, they can take you through the filing process, and we'll go from there.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just give you a call.
Will do.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Thank you so much.
Okay. 80 Ireland Road.
Hello.
Hello. Would you just state your name and address for
Sure.
the record here?
Veronica Wright, 80 Ireland Road in Marshfield.
Okay. So, what do we have going on here?
We did a tear down and a rebuild. The as-built ended up being significantly higher than what we had planned due to the water table. Originally, we were going to have a horseshoe driveway on the Allerton side of the house, but because of the elevation, that wasn't possible. So we put a driveway in a little bit further back. It is, where we put the driveway is within where the yard used to be. I actually have some pictures from before, when there was someone living in the house. So we had a 6 to 10 foot hedge along Allerton. We had two-car driveways originally. And where the driveway is now is approximately the same area where the other driveway was, and then included some of the hedge that had been there. We were also putting in a privacy hedge and a fire pit, which I guess is within the buffer zone and it shouldn't be there. However, it is where the previous yard ended, and it is in line with our neighbor, not on the Allerton side, but on the Ireland Road side going up the hill. So it's pretty much lined up with his yard. And then the land behind the house was overrun by Japanese bamboo, which is very invasive. It had, because no one had been living at the property for several years, it had, encroached onto the previous yard. So we removed it. It's invasive. And then our plan was to plant some native plants in there to try to compensate and to try to prevent it from coming back up, because it will. I mean,
will,
that's
yeah.
just the way it is. So that's what happened.
Okay. So, Mike, how much of the isolated vegetated wetland and buffer zone would you say had
So
been?
I went out on
impacted?
site with a reel tape to measure it out. Roughly the distance from the end of the newly built single-family home to the end of the clearing at its longest along Allerton Road is 157 feet. And then the widest point between Allerton Street and the clearing, moving, I believe that is east on the property, is 83 feet. So the clearing looks to be anywhere from 7,000 to 8,000 square feet. It's well beyond where the proposed conservation markers would go. Here is a few of the conservation markers, and nothing hand-drawn on this plan has been surveyed or registered by an engineer. I just took the tape measure and put it down where the where the tape measure told me to. But, so this is I thought it was originally patio. It's a fire pit area. It's located, feet away from where that isolated vegetated wetland would be. And also the, square driveway, which was not on the approved site plan, just clips the area that would be within the conservation markers. But, this whole area, including a large section of the isolated vegetated wetland, was cleared.
We did move the driveway 5 feet based on conversation that you had with our landscaper, so that it's now outside the buffer zone,
Okay.
or where it needs to be relative to the buffer zone.
Okay. So, we're looking at, some restoration of the area. You know, you said you wanted to
Correct.
bring native plants in it and such. We can amend the current order of conditions to take care of this. Should we have a wetland scientist?
I believe
Prepare a
in
plan?
this case, a wetland scientist preparing a plan could be beneficial. Also, given the amount of Japanese knotweed that was already growing up through the cleared soil, it will still be an issue on the
It's gonna
site.
be
And
an
now that
issue
it's all
forever.
cleared out, it could just take over the
Yeah.
entire site.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived there most of my life,
Yeah.
and it's just one of those things, if you don't keep on top of it,
Oh, it's
yeah, it's
brutal.
horrible.
Yeah.
And my neighbor was able to eradicate it on his property years ago, but again, it's a continuous thing.
It can be eradicated and it can reappear 20 years later.
Yeah.
So I would recommend that you come into the office. We have lists of wetland scientists that you can pick from, and they can prepare a planting plan and possibly give you some guidance on trying to control the invasives.
Okay,
And then we will, you will need to file for an amendment of your orders of conditions to reflect whatever is going to be done.
okay. Will we be allowed to keep the privacy hedge and the fire pit area? They are pavers, so they are permeable. It's not,
Fire pit in the,
The-
it's right out-
I have pictures of the original yard
The fire
that
pit,
show how far back it went.
according to the real tape I was using, the fire pit does appear to be within that buffer zone that was protected to the isolated vegetated wetland. That being said, I'm not a land surveyor or professional engineer, so
Okay.
there could be some margin for error. But
You may need to relocate the fire pit.
Okay,
We'll
the
have to-
patio,
Yeah, push it closer to the house a bit.
okay.
But, yeah, we would need to see some.
We were afraid to have it
accurate-
too close, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that.
So that's kind of where it ended up where it was, so,
Okay.
yeah. What about the arborvitae? Would they be able to stay as a natural barrier, natural privacy hedge?
Where are the arborvitae? There.
It's right behind the circle where the fire pit is,
so it would be around.
yeah. Our landscaper's kind of showing you where it is.
Okay. That might, they might be okay if they're on the border of.
Yeah.
Are they in the buffer zone or are they?
They're in the buffer zone. It doesn't appear that they're within the isolated vegetated wetland or what used to be the
Okay.
isolated vegetated wetland. But they would certainly be right on the cusp of it.
Okay. So again, we need to get some good measurements and
Okay,
see what's there.
okay.
But if you come in, we can give you, wetland scientists to choose from, and you can file for an amended order, and then we'll have it come back to us and see exactly where things are.
Okay. Okay. Will do.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, that concludes the business. On to public hearings. The first being 914 Webster Street. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, October 16th, to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by DD Realty Trust. And, hello, how are
Hello,
you?
how are you?
You're back.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so, you want to explain what your project is here?
Project is a 8-foot by 8-foot addition to allow for a pickup window for our DoorDash and Uber Eats and Grubhub. I put in area that I just didn't use for parking. I made 2 designated parking spaces for the pickup. And it's gonna be a separate window to stop the drivers from clogging up the front of the building. So they can just drive up, park, walk up to the window, push a button, and their orders are all made and they're packaged in a special spot, and they just hand it to the customer.
Mike, any comments?
Yep, like what was stated, it would be a 64 square foot addition. It would be on concrete, just kind of similar to the rest of the structure, and that surrounding area is all paved. Yep, it's over 25 feet to the wetlands here, which were flagged and noted on the site plan. Yeah.
Okay. Any commissioner comments?
No.
Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I move to close the hearing and issue a determination of applicability with a +5, -3. And you want to read the conditions, Mike?
Yes. Ensure best management practices are followed. Before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits and to see the conservation administrator agent for work beyond the approved work activities.
May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope to see you before Halloween, because that's when we close.
Okay. Will your window be open then?
That'd be a real.
No, not yet. Next
That would be
spring.
a trick, okay.
I don't know what builder can build it too. Thank you.
Okay, next up is 109 Constellation Road. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wetlands Protection Act and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, October 16th, to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by David McSweeney of 109 Constellation Road, and the hearing officer is Commissioner Platt.
Okay. Mike, can you confirm that all administrative requirements have been met?
Yes, all administrative requirements have been met.
Perfect. Do we have Mr. McSweeney here or on Zoom? Okay. All right, so it looks like Mr. McSweeney is looking to replace a shed that's not in good condition on his property with a new 10 by 16 shed. And this, just let me point out that this work is located within land subject to coastal storm flowage and in a buffer zone to a BBW. So this new shed location would shift a bit. So right now, it's parallel to the southern part of the lot line, and it would be shifted so that it would be parallel with the eastern side. Mike, do you have any comments?
Yeah, essentially, what you just said, I outlined here kind of the intended areas of the shed. So, pardon me. So this is the current location, and then he would just want to shift it over along this fence by a couple feet. Not a huge change. It would have to be on footings and have opposite flood openings. So on opposite sides of the structure, there would need to be flood openings. Suitable footings could be sonotubes, helical piles, diamond piers, etc. This is in a AE9 flood zone. And then the homeowner is also intending on doing some work under a different RDA that was the fence replacement was permitted under 2 years ago. So that permit is still active, and he intends on doing work about the same time that he installs the shed.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't get, unfortunately, couldn't get back there when I went, but I saw your pictures and everything. Makes sense. Does anyone on the commission have any comments? Anyone in the public on Zoom have any comments or questions? Okay. All right, then I am going to go ahead and vote to close the hearing and issue a determination of applicability with a +5 and -2. Mike, do you want to read the conditions?
Yes, ensure best management practices are followed before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, and to see the conservation administrator agent for guidance on work beyond the approved work activities.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. Next is 128 Bay Avenue. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, October 16, 2024, to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by Joan Dowd, and the hearing officer is Commissioner Lake.
Mike, can you confirm that all administrative requirements have been met?
Yes, all administrative requirements have been met.
Is there anyone here on Zoom to present the project? Mike, did you have any comments?
Yeah, I can comment on this one. I know that their landscaper was intending on being here tonight, but I don't see him on here, Mr. Oland. The homeowner would like to make pervious improvements to their parking area and front walkway. The current parking area is constructed of just loose gravel and runs parallel to Bay Ave. The homeowner would like to take a section of this gravel area and convert it to pervious pavers. Additionally, there's a concrete walkway leading from the gravel parking area to the front door. This is also proposed to be replaced with pervious pavers. This project will result in a net reduction of impervious area, as the front walkway will be replaced with something pervious.
Any commissioners have any comments? Any comments from anyone in the public or on Zoom? Mike, did you have any special conditions?
Yeah, I would suggest the following special conditions: ensure that best management practices are followed before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, and to see the conservation administrator agent for guidance on conservation permits for work beyond the approved work activities.
I just wanted to note for the record that the building commissioner commented and stated, I have no issues with this project and support the removal of impervious asphalt in this area and the installation of pervious pavers. I'm going to move to close the hearing and issue a determination of applicability with a +5 and a -2. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 146 Dakota Street. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, October 16, 2024, to consider the request for an amended order of conditions filed by Priscilla Maglio, and the hearing officer is Vice Chair O'Donnell.
Thank you. Mike, can you confirm administrative requirements?
All administrative requirements have been met.
Okay, the floor is yours. Please identify yourself and tell us what,
Okay, Frank is going to speak.
This is Priscilla, and I'm Frank. I'm her son. An order of conditions was issued in October of '23.
I'm sorry, would you just state your name and address?
Frank Malio, 52 Preston Terrace. This
Thank you.
is regarding my mother's application. Order of conditions was issued in October of 2023. We're here before you tonight for an amendment to the order of conditions to, as advertised, relocate 3 piles and add 2 piles to the proposed support for the cottage which is being raised. The area on the top of the plan, which is cross-hatched, represents 5-foot by 36-foot area of, it's a combination between deck and stairway that was originally approved as part of this plan. This is proposed to be eliminated. So it's a reduction in the coverage. With that, there were 3 piles to support it. So those 3 piles would be eliminated. Structural engineer was brought on after this was approved by the commission to design the support for the building. Rivermore Engineering submitted a letter dated October 3rd, which is before you. Do you have a copy of that? Does the board have a copy of that?
The plan, yes.
No, there's a letter
The letter.
from
We
Peter
have that.
Falk.
Yeah,
We
the,
have that.
Have you had a chance to
Yeah.
review that letter? Just in summary, the engineer states that preliminary layout considered a cantilevered beam approach. Rivermore Engineering, when they finalized the design, determined that it was not practical to have that unsupported length. And so they're proposing to support that area of the structure using 3 piles. So that's how we get to the relocation of 3 piles. There's 3 piles eliminated in the area that's where the deck and the stairs are de-scoped, and there's 3 piles added underneath that area as shown on this plan.
Thank you.
And then the last comment was that there were called for 2 additional piles, and those are in the area where there was a patio area that was approved on the plan. And the structural engineer, there's a stairway that's proposed back there, and the structural engineer called for 2 piles to support that. But those piles would be within the area already approved as that patio area. So it's already in an area that was proposed to be, modified. That's the amendment to the order of conditions.
Thank you. I think I understand it. Let's open it up. Mike, have you got any comments?
Yes. Would, just a quick question, if I may address you. The patio, is that, raised above the ground surface? Is that like on the landing of a staircase, or is that going to be on the ground itself?
So this is consistent with what was previously approved. The original intent here was just to raise this cottage because it's a little low and Mom's concerned about flooding. As part of this application, through the routing through the town hall, Board of Health said that it's time to upgrade the septic system. So this project has gone from replacing a few posts that were knocked over by a lawnmower to raising the cottage and adding a new septic system. With that septic system, there needs to be a connection from the house to the septic system for the pipe to come out to flow by gravity. So that patio is at an elevation that will bury the pipe. So it's at about elevation on this plan 13, which is the top of the septic system. So it's raised from the existing grade. But this is no change from what was previously presented and approved. Does that answer the question?
Yep, that answers the question.
Sorry about the big, long story, but this has been kind of a journey.
Yeah, again, I think I got a pretty good understanding of this. The piles were necessary by the structural engineer. is still very close to the salt marsh line, but the deck is no closer than it was. Some has been removed. Any other commissioners have comments?
I do not.
I think I'm okay. I'd like to open it up to the audience, either here or on Zoom.
Bert, this is Andrew Stewart, the building commissioner.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Andrew.
I just wanted to reiterate that I've spoken with the structural engineers. I've been dealing very closely with Frank and Priscilla on this project and their contractors, and it is a structural necessity. That's what the structural engineer, really stressed to me. So I definitely support, the commission allowing this. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Hearing no other comments, I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and issue the amended order of conditions. Can we just capture that in the as-built, Mike? Well, actually, we've got the modified plan here, right?
Yep, we have the modified plan here. So I would suggest issuing the same conditions that were issued under the original permit, with the commission's discretion to have that patio be pervious.
So I made the motion. Have I got a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. It's been a long time.
You're getting close.
It's a long time, and at this time, I have a cottage that's been raised and moved so that we could put piles in, and then with the worry about, well, are they going to approve of this? We came to ask you before we went ahead. So it
Yep.
was just, trying to do the right thing, that's all.
Thank you.
But it's been
We
2
like
weeks of
that.
having my cottage over on the side of the yard with steel beams in it. Thank
Well,
you.
hopefully that won't last much longer.
I hope not.
Thank you.
Okay. 15 Middle Street. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield,
Thank
Chapter
you.
294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, October 16th, 2024, to consider the notice of intent for 15 Middle Street, and the hearing officer is Commissioner Miles.
Hello. Let's see, Mike, can you confirm all administrative requirements have been met?
Yes, all administrative requirements have been met.
Okay, and we are here to listen to a project at 15 Middle Street. It is barrier beach, coastal dune, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. And are you here to talk about the project?
Yes, good evening. My name is Paul Lauterbach. I'm with Merrill Engineers, representing Michael and Deirdre O'Keefe for their project located at 15 Middle Street. I'll give you a quick overview of the project. It's at 15 Middle Street along Brant Rock Beach in a residential waterfront district, R3. There are residential properties to the east and west. There is a Brant Rock Beach seawall, pretty big seawall to the north of their property, and Ocean Street to the south. The property is approximately 2,200 square feet, and it's developed with an existing single-family dwelling, with a stone driveway, some walkways are on the side, and then a at-grade deck in the back with utility connections. It's connected to town water and sewer, and it actually has 3 flood zones. We have a flood zone on top of the barrier beach, coastal dune. We have a flood zone VE 18 at the back along the seawall, which is where the actual proposed raised deck's going to be located. Then we have a flood zone AO depth 3, and then the water kind of dissipates down to a flood zone AE 12 at the Middle Street side of the property. And you can see these flood zones in orange on the submitted site plan. Like I said, the entire property is in a barrier beach coastal dune, which is why we're here tonight. It's not within any estimated or priority habitats of rare species. The proposed work is to construct an elevated deck in the back of the property to be able to, kind of consistent with the neighbors in the area, to be able to see over this seawall, raise the deck. The new elevated structure will be supported on open pile-type foundation and constructed in accordance with the FEMA state and town requirements. At this time, we don't have the actual construction plans for the deck, but we will, those are being worked on and will be provided in order to get the building permit. And there will be erosion control measures. You can see that in the red dashed lines, we'll have the erosion control barrier set up prior to construction, just to stop any runoff from the construction and the work with the deck in the back. And with that, is there any questions or comments for the project here?
Thank you.
I understand. So, any comments from commissioners? Nope. Mike, do you have any comments?
Yes. I would suggest the following special conditions for this project. General conditions 1 through 18 are standard special conditions. Prior to construction, condition 5 and 2, ensure that the site is properly staked out and have a pre-construction meeting. During construction, condition 11, ensure best management practices are followed. After construction, condition 1, file for a certificate of compliance. And then erosion control, ensure that proper erosion control is in place throughout the duration of work. And then I would also put in the typical barrier beach conditions, which include either having the 2 feet of clearance or lowest structural member at DFE.
Okay. Any comments from the public?
I just want to read one thing here that was the building commissioner's comments.
Yes.
Decks that are structurally connected to a structure in a VE zone are required to be designed by an engineer to function as a continuation of the structure. Attached decks in VE zones shall be designed so that their lowest horizontal structural member is located above design flood elevation.
Yeah, we had on our plan, we did call it out on the plan.
Okay.
As attached in the bottom of the lowest horizontal
Yeah,
member at
as
20.8.
20.8.
2.8 feet above the VE 18 zone.
Okay.
So for attached, but we don't have the, for attached, it appears that we had set the correct information on the
Yeah.
site plan. But we still have to complete the construction documents, and there may be, I don't know if that, is that a requirement of tonight, whether it's attached or detached for the structure?
No.
All right.
No,
So
I
they-
just wanted to,
It could be revised at a later point, but it could be detached. It's a determination once they do the structural design
okay.
plans
if
for the building
If that
permit.
is the case, what we're gonna be approving is an attached.
Attached, sorry.
So if it becomes detached,
Yeah,
you'd have to come back and,
revise the plan.
yeah, give us the new plan.
Amended, no. Or the procedure be if it's going to be detached? Maybe I could just coordinate with you on how to do that.
Yeah, typically, when it comes into question, we schedule it as a business discussion item. The commission can give their thoughts on it.
There's one minor detail on the plan, I apologize. I noticed the assessor's map number, I was doing a little research on this, and I just noticed, would I need to revise the plan? It should be 31A, and we had 21A on the plan for some reason.
Okay.
I can coordinate, follow up with you tomorrow.
Yeah, you
minor
can,
change to this plan.
yeah, you,
I
if
can
you
get
don't mind
the plan,
sending that
I can-
first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I'll give you the plan. There's just some reason 2's there instead of 3. Should be a
Okay.
3.
Perfect.
Minor typo.
And just to make sure it's going to be on an open pile type foundation.
Yep. Yeah, we call it out as, support on open pile type foundation, helical screw piles, diamond pier piles, or approved equal. That's gonna be called out on the construction documents for the deck as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm going to move to close this hearing and issue an order of conditions with the special conditions that Mike has read. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, 34 Standish Street. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, October 16th, 2024, at 6:30 to consider the notice of intent filed for 34 Standish Street, and the hearing officer is Commissioner O'Donnell.
Thank you. Michael, we're all set with the
Yes, all the administrative requirements have been met.
Okay. All right, Paul, you're up again, 2 in a row?
Yep,
I took a walk out to the site last week. There's no one home, but, so I did get a sense of what was going on. There's a lot of concrete slab, where this work is gonna take place. So I was trying to sort out what, I guess some of the concrete's gonna be removed, but some of it's gonna remain, so.
Yep.
But I'll let you describe the project, which seems pretty straightforward.
All right, again, my name's Paul Lauterbach with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors, presenting this project. I worked on the site plan with RPE Dana and Paul Williams here, the builder. The applicant is Joe Hendry. He's not here tonight, but Paul can help out if there's any questions I can't answer. So the project is located at 34 Standish Street in the residential waterfront district, R3. Property is approximately 80,000 square feet with about 17,000 square feet of upland and 63,000 square feet of bordering vegetated wetland. You can see our, kind of the bigger plan here that shows the whole property. And this is kind of the blown-up site plan, give you all the information. It's currently developed with an existing single-family dwelling, gravel driveway, landscaping, and utility connections. It's connected to town water and sewer. Property is not in a FEMA flood zone or an estimated priority habitat for rare species. The applicant is proposing to construct a new 470-square-foot, 2-story addition off the side of the dwelling, the existing dwelling, along with replacing the existing deck in the back in pretty much the exact same footprint. They also are proposing to remove a 10-by-10 sunroom in the corner down there, you can see called out on the plan. The closest point of construction from that corner of the deck that they're rebuilding is a little under 50 feet, so 48 feet to the closest point of the wetland. And similar to all the projects we present, erosion control barriers will be set up prior to construction at the down gradient area location of the site to catch all the runoff and any sort of siltation that could be accumulated from construction. And with that, is there any questions or comments?
So I was just looking, trying to make sure. It seems that, oh no, it's the same, okay, there's the 50, okay. Yeah, so so most of the work is beyond the 50-foot wetland buffer.
Yep.
There's just a little sliver in the corner where there's a slab. So I guess, right, so this is where the new deck is gonna be?
Yep.
Correct? And it's gonna go, the slab's gonna remain there, right?
Yeah, there's a slab underneath it.
Yep.
Yeah,
That one's staying, right?
Yep,
Yeah, that's an existing deck, but
that deck's coming down, yeah.
that's gonna be
It's gonna be-
demolished and be putting up an existing new deck
With
in the same
sonotubes.
footprint
Yep,
and new sonotubes, because
I don't think the sonotubes
Yeah, it was-
are code now. But anyhow,
And then this is the new addition over here.
and that concrete will be taken out.
That's gonna be that's where the concrete's coming out. 'Cause
Yeah.
I didn't have any of the building plan, we just had the
Yeah,
plot
right,
plan. 'Cause
right.
we were just focused on the, and then this is the sunroom over here that's getting
That's
taken
going
out
out.
and some slab work over there.
Yeah.
So one of the net effect of all that is the pervious is going down. The pervious
Yeah,
material number
exactly.
is going slightly, but it's going down, so.
Yeah, I had an impervious area table, minus 111 square feet.
Yeah, yeah.
It's reducing.
So, no, I think, I was out there, I was trying to sort it all out with all this lab, but I think I got a good feel for what's going on. I think, as you said, first of all, the building commissioner has no comments, he's okay with the plan. So I think, I think most, like I said, most of the work is between the 50 and 100 foot. It's an existing structure, so there's not much changing there at all. Michael, do you have any comments?
Yes, as mentioned, there would be an overall decrease in impervious area from 2,168 square feet to 2,057 square feet. The proposed replacement deck will be on sonotube footings and will be within the same footprint of the existing deck. The addition will involve some removal of an existing concrete pad, as already stated. I would suggest the following. Special conditions, general conditions 1 through 18 are standard special conditions. Prior to construction, condition 5 and 2, to ensure that, that the site is staked out and to have a pre-construction meeting. During construction, condition 11, ensure best management practices are followed. After construction, condition 1. Erosion control, condition 1, which is to ensure that erosion control is in place throughout the duration of work.
Do the commissioners have any questions or comments?
I'm good.
Anybody from the audience?
One question, Joe?
Oh, sorry.
Was it noted anywhere what year the house was built?
It's in 1981.
Okay. Then it's fine as far as, going a little bit inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was noted in the,
Okay, that's what,
Oh, the actual notice of
I think
intent.
in Paul's package, I think that was noted. Yep.
Yeah, I usually note that in the narrative. Maybe I should start putting it on the plan, right? Make it easy to find.
Oh, I think it was in the narrative. I did read it somewhere.
oh, if you saw it, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
That was via the property tax card.
Okay.
1981. Existing dwelling is connected to the town water and sewer and was constructed in 1981 according to the assessor's records.
All right, you're good, thank you.
We believe you.
Okay, so no other questions, comments? Mike read the special conditions, so hearing no other questions or comments, I'm going to suggest we issue the order as a condition. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is 26 Mayflower Lane. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, October 16th, 2024, to consider the notice of intent filed for 26 Mayflower Lane, and I will be acting as hearing officer. All administrative requirements met.
The DEP number has yet to be issued from the state.
So we'll go forward and
Continue it.
then continue it for the DEP number.
Exactly.
But since Rick is here, take it away.
Thank you. Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor. That's correct. We were working with DEP today. Seemed like the check's in the mail type of thing. It went, they don't have it, so we're still working on that. But that being said, this is basically a small addition project and some landscaping work at this house that these two sisters who live here are hoping to do at 26 Mayflower. So essentially, the main part of the project is this addition off the back of the house. As you know, or as I'll state, the project's in a flood zone, it's in an AE9, and of course, we have the Bass River drainage system that runs through there, and it's right behind the house. So everything they're proposing is within the buffer, and the work in the rear of the house is right up to, and some is even proposed within the 25-foot buffer. The addition itself is 16 by 13, is proposed to be on helical screws. That part of the project, it will not get any closer to the wetlands than the existing house, and it'll stay outside the 25. We've jogged it in such a way to keep it outside the 25 for the addition itself. There'll be about 2.5 feet of clearance left underneath that. It's not in a barrier beach, but, you know, it's in everything else. So that part, the other structural part of the project is the deck at the back left of the house. They're proposing to square off the corner of that existing deck and support that also with a single helical screw there, just to help with the access. These sisters are sort of elderly, and they're going to be moving into this house, what was a cottage, and making it into a full-time house, is my understanding. So they want to improve the access down that rear stairway. They're also proposing it says paver patio, it is a pervious paver patio that they're proposing in the back. It's an existing lawn area, and they're looking to convert some of that lawn into a pervious patio for sitting and you know, kind of a leisure area out back there. We talked about the driveway, and we're going to propose to remove 518 square foot of pavement that's out there now and replace it with pervious pavers, just to help out the overall flooding characteristics of the project. And also that front step is in kind of poor condition. They want to remove and replace the existing front step with a wood step, landing and steps, same footprint, but the walk will be replaced with a pervious paver walk. Currently just a concrete walk that's out there now. So we wanted to come here tonight. I understand there's comments from the building department about the substantial improvement part of this project, which they understand, and I've reviewed with them. They've had a professional appraisal done on the project to increase the value of the structure that's kind of in process right now. They wanted to, because we're so close to the wetland area, they wanted to make sure that they could get through this. We don't think we'll have a problem with the substantial. Obviously, they'll have to approve that throughout the process, but just with the proximity to the wetlands, we wanted to get in front of you and talk about these things. So convert the lawn into a patio is within the 25-foot, and the addition is right up to it. So I'll answer any questions you might have. Also, we're going to relocate. There's an existing outdoor shower at the back right of the house now that they're hoping to move to the back of where the new addition will go. Same structure, just move it out there is what they're hoping to do. That's pervious. It's just a fence, you know, typical outdoor shower setup. Crushed stone, fence around it. So that's the project that these nice folks are hoping to do.
Okay. Comments, Mike?
Yes. The construction of a 16-foot by 13-foot addition onto the rear of the single-family home here is the proposed scope of work. Additionally, it is proposed that they will replace the asphalt driveway with pervious paver driveway, and then there are some other pervious areas noted on the site plan here, such as the front walkway and the paver patio out in the back. There would be a significant decrease in the impervious area, decreasing from 2,029 square feet to 1,721 square feet. And the building commissioners also noted that that you should seek any zoning variances or permits that would be needed, if you haven't done so already.
We certainly will.
Okay. Any comments, questions from the commission?
I did have one question. Do you have any structural details on the helical screws?
So, we don't. This is so those will be forthcoming. They were concerned about conservation. They haven't hired somebody to do it. They're working with an architect. We do not have those, but they understand it's gonna have to be on helical screws. Yeah, so I don't have any, we didn't submit anything with it because haven't been prepared yet. But knowing that they can do this, they're gonna have all that work done for the building permit side of things, but,
Okay.
so no, I don't, Corey.
All right, I'm just asking because I recently saw another project that was on helical screws, but it turns out there was this below-grade concrete beam
Beam,
that
yeah.
connected all the helical screws, so it was actually just a foundation on.
Yeah, like a pile cap
Yeah.
on top of a lot of,
So,
a lot of that does happen. This site will be where the screw is exposed, and even some of the ones that are exposed above the ground, they encase them with hydraulic cement once they're done, so they don't rust, you know, so they end up looking like a sonotube when you're done, but they're encasing the screw. But this will not have that pile cap situation. Those are heavily structural, but yeah, they use those, a lot of houses go on helical screws, and they use that type of,
yeah,
something you should, doesn't happen a lot, but you see them.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that the same as a grade beam?
Yes.
yes, yeah, and that's like
That's a no-no.
below grade, and then the helical screw attaches to that. So it's not like a driven wooden pile that's
Yeah.
driven down, it's pretty shallow.
Yeah, they can be deep, but yeah, and then normally they pour concrete wall on top of those
Yeah,
grade beams. Not here. This is we were talking probably half a dozen helical screws, and they'll just be like a deck support, small addition. This is a one-story little addition they're putting on. It will just be a clear under there with a exposed screw.
all right, that's my only question.
So the relocation of the outdoor shower
Mm-hmm.
is under the, I'm confused.
No, this this thing is only gonna be about 2 feet off the ground.
Oh, okay.
So it'll
okay.
be just a spigot off the back of the house, yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
okay.
elevated, over your head type of thing.
Anybody else? Well, I think, is there any comment from the public? Hearing none, I move to close the hearing and issue orders of conditions.
Chair Hannafin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This one doesn't have a DEP number, so we'd have to continue.
Oh,
to the next
exactly,
meeting.
all right. I move to continue the hearing to November 6th, 2024. In anticipation of receiving a DEP number. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now, I believe that concludes our hearing. We have 3 continuations. The first being Sweeney off Marginal Street. Do we have a DEP number on that, Mike?
We do not. Mr. Zimmer will be refiling that, making some edits and refiling as a limited ecological restoration project.
Okay. So I move to continue Sweeney off of Marginal Street for vegetation management until the November 6th hearing. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 0 Main Street, SE 423110, I believe has been continued to November 6th.
Yes, it has been.
but we'll do it again. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the town of Marshfield, DPW, drainage swale maintenance, will also continue to November 6th. May I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, certificates of compliance. 51 Water Street, work is completed per site plan. Seeking a COC after a number of years, I guess. I move that we vote to issue a COC for 51 Water Street. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42-2419, 7 Pierce Road. I move that we vote to issue a COC. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42-2509.
Chair Hannafin, if I may address this one. The 480 Ferry Street, it's missing a number of conservation posts on the property. There have been a number of conservation posts set in the correct manner, but not the number required by the order of conditions. There's still one conservation post on the property that's set on a surveyor's stake.
Okay, so,
Needs some work.
and we need 12 and there's only 6, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so I move to continue COC discussion on 480 Ferry until November 6th. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42-2881, 172 Ridge Road. I move to issue a COC. Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42-2923 will continue. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
SE 42-2984 will need to continue. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And SE 42-3073, 110 Riverside Circle. I move that we issue a complete COC. A second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That completes our business for this evening. I move to close the Town of Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting for Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.